Morning, sir.
Good morning. Okay. Is it visible now? Hello? Are you
Yes,
able
sir.
to
Yes,
see?
We
yes,
can
sir,
see.
visible.
Okay. Okay. So let me start with the introduction. Just 1 minute. See, last day I have gave the introduction to aeroelasticity. I'll be starting now with the aeroelastic problems. First one is static aeroelastic problems, where we'll be taking basically static instability and divergence, control reversal. Then we'll be coming to flutter and all those things. Let me come to this simplified model, static aeroelastic problem, where we'll be basically talking of the divergence. Let me just give you an idea here. Uh, this aerofoil, whatever we have considered here, this is basically idealized. Is it visible to you? Whatever I am writing, are you able to see
Yes, sir.
the?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
See, before going to the actual 3D structure, you need to understand certain things in the simple aerofoil. You just look back your theory, whatever you have learned in aerodynamics. There you have taken an aerofoil section, and on the aerofoil section you have studied the flow characteristics, and you have found how the pressure load is developed. Okay, that same thing we are considering here, aerofoil cross section, and then along the span direction a unit width. Basically, whatever I have idealized here, this is width is unit. So in that respect, suppose we are considering a long span rectangular wing, we can take a small strip, and on that strip, whatever aerodynamic loads are coming, we are basically calculating that using the thin aerofoil theory, and then obviously when I am taking this aerofoil, I'll be taking a spring, means elasticity into the consideration. Let's say this is our aerofoil, and we are basically, you can think of that it is in span direction, it is having a unit span, and this spring is having a stiffness, let's say k theta, and will be starting means deriving the aerodynamic characteristics from the aerodynamics point of view, and also we'll consider from the structures point of view. Let me come to this this aerofoil, whatever we have considered here. If you look at let's say this aerofoil is having a angle of attack that we are considering alpha. Before going to calculation of aerodynamic load, you need to know certain characteristics of this aerofoil. First is the this aerodynamic center. That is important in terms of our aerodynamic load computation. The whatever load is calculated with respect to the whole aerofoil, that pressure will be acting upward from this as a resultant force in the upward direction, that we are calling as the lift force. And there will be also moment acting on that aerodynamic center. Then we have another important point, that is we call as the elastic axis. See, you have studied in your structures about the shear center. See, the elastic axis is nothing but the collection of shear centers along the span direction. And then when we connect them all the points, it will be like a elastic axis. And here, actually, the elastic force is acting through this elastic axis, and aerodynamic force is acting through this aerodynamic center. There are other important points in terms of aeroelasticity, but with the static aeroelasticity, we are interested to take only these 2 points, important points. One is the aerodynamic center, another is the elastic axis. Now, due to this flow, free velocity, this flow can calculate what will be the lift force developed in this thin aerofoil. See, one more important parameter is required for our calculation, that is Q. Q is nothing but dynamic pressure. You have heard about dynamic pressure, no? In the dynamic pressure. See, in your aerodynamic calculation, we have considered, let's say, a particle having velocity u infinity and the density of that particle is rho, then the kinetic energy or dynamic pressure, what we can calculate, that is half m v square. Basically, in our gross sense, here it will be half rho u infinity square. That we are considering this dynamic pressure, we can calculate the lift. Lift will be this dynamic pressure multiplied by the span area. This is the area, and then we will have the area. Then we will have CL. CL is the lift coefficient. This CL, again, if we take into this calculation, this area is nothing but C into 1. C is the chord length along span direction 1. That's what I am taking. That is the area S. And this is the dynamic pressure Q. And CL alpha into alpha. This CL is lift coefficient, means dynamic pressure into area, that is the total pressure, total dynamic pressure multiplied by the CL coefficient. Whatever pressure is acting upward direction, that we are calling as the lift coefficient. And that lift coefficient again comes to this CL alpha into alpha. CL alpha is the slope of the lift curve slope of the lift curve, lift versus the angle of attack curve, and then multiplied by alpha, that will be giving us the lift coefficient. Then suppose this part, if we are considering only the symmetric aerofoil, then there will not be any other part. Suppose if we are considering a general aerofoil where cambered it is having a cambered cross section, and also it is not a symmetric aerofoil. So in that case, we will have this dynamic pressure. Sorry. This dynamic pressure multiplied by the area and CL naught. This CL naught is basically lift coefficient for zero angle of attack. If it is not symmetric aerofoil, if it is cambered aerofoil, then even at zero angle of attack, there will be a lift force developed. That we are calling as the lift coefficient for zero angle of attack. So when we are considering a general aerofoil, the lift force will be related to this angle of attack plus lift force due to inherent lift force without any angle of attack or zero angle of attack. So that is the thing, whatever we have added here, the two components of the lift coefficient. And then if we are then again taking this Q into C into CL alpha outside, it will become alpha plus CL naught by CL alpha. This is actually angle of attack. CL naught by CL alpha, this is basically what we are representing as a equivalent initial angle of attack, equivalent initial angle of attack or rigid angle of attack. Sorry, not rigid. This is the initial angle of attack without any as it is a cambered aerofoil, inherently it will be there will be a lift force developed in the aerofoil, and due to that aerofoil, whatever equivalent alpha we are getting, that we are defining as alpha naught. So yeah.
So you are writing CL as CL alpha times alpha plus CL naught by CL alpha. So can we write this if
I am
variation of CL
in the
is non-linear?
first. No. Here, see, inherently we are considering here the linear curve of the lift and angle of attack curve. Those are basically inherently we have considered. When
Like
you are
if it is non-linear, then we cannot write this, right?
no, we cannot write it. It is based on the linear theory basically. See, if it is non-linear, then interactive way we have to take care of this in our analysis. Suppose we are giving starting from zero angle of attack, then 1 degree, then we have to correct that lift curve slope. We have to take appropriate lift curve slope or lift coefficient. Then let's say I am increasing it to 2 degree of angle of attack. Then we have to correct it. Like that, progressively we have to calculate the lift force. Here in our calculation, we are taking a linear theory, basically linear, both from linear. I'll be talking of those also. See, I'll be taking here in our initial calculation, we are taking linear aerodynamics and elasticity also. Both are linear. I'll be talking of non-linear also. Okay. So in initial stage, whatever aerodynamic load I am considering, that is linear aerodynamic load, and elastic force is also linear. Both are linear. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Here I am saying another thing. This lift force at zero angle of attack, that I am converting into alpha naught, that is equivalent angle of attack, and this alpha, whatever I am saying, this alpha is the angle of attack. In this, two components will be there. As we are considering aeroelasticity problem, this alpha R means alpha. I'll define the initial angle of attack, that is alpha R, and due to the aeroelastic effect, whatever additional angle of attack change will be there, that I am calling as the theta. So this alpha I'll be defining by two components, alpha R plus theta. Alpha is the initial angle of attack and theta is the flexible angle of attack. This theta is basically flexible angle of attack, flexible angle of attack, And this alpha r is the rigid angle of attack. Alpha r I am considering as rigid angle of attack. Okay. Sorry, actually this is theta. So this theta is coming due to the flexibility of the structure. Actually, the structural elasticity is interacting with aerodynamic load and then changing the whatever we have given the initial angle of attack, and that sort, that is the aeroelasticity basically. And this theta, let's say when it has started at some velocity, let's say 10 meter per second, then what will happen? Initially, this angle of attack, let's say I have given as angle of attack as 5 degree. So due to this 5 degree angle of attack, whatever lift force will be developed, that will be deforming the this elastic structure. So this alpha r 5 degree, whatever we have given initially, it will no longer be alpha r. It will be alpha r plus theta. And as long as these two, this theta is not converging, means it is not going to stabilize at some, let's say I am giving an initial angle of attack 5 degree and the initial velocity is 10 meter per second. Let's say I am doing a test in the wind tunnel. In that case, this alpha 5 degree, after a certain time of the flow starts, this alpha theta or alpha, whatever we are calling as the total angle of attack, alpha plus theta, will not remain 5 degree. It will be reaching to some higher value and stabilize there. Then we call as that that system is a stable aeroelastic system. And in addition to alpha r 5 degree, whatever additional deformation will be there, rotational deformation will be there, that I am calling as the flexible angle of attack. Is it clear?
Flexible angle of attack can also be negative, right?
Yeah, it can be negative also. But as per our usual convention, when I am taking this theta is positive, that means torsional rotation will be upward direction. Okay. If it is negative, then it will be downward direction. See, alpha r also can have positive, means usual convention is like this. Alpha r is positive in the upward direction, alpha r is negative in the downward direction. Because you will have situation when you need positive angle of attack, sometimes you may need negative angle of attack. Means when you when the aircraft takes off from the runway, you need alpha r as positive. When it lands in the runway or in the airport, it has to, pilot has to demand negative angle of attack. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So that way, usual convention is that, means as we are considering usual convention, that's why I am adding plus. Alpha r I am taking is the angle of attack with respect to the chord line, mean chord line, and that is upward is positive, downward is negative. So after some time, this alpha r and theta will stabilize. That we are calling as a stable aeroelastic system. If it does not stabilize, and so what will happen? Let's say for certain velocity, alpha r is given, and that theta is changed to some other value. Means overall angle of attack will change to some value, then aerodynamic force will be again developed, so it will change to the angle of attack again, and finally it will go to a situation where aircraft, this angle of attack may go above 90 degree. That means it has reached a divergence condition. Okay, that is the divergence condition. Physically, whatever we are saying, divergence, the meaning is that whatever initial angle of attack is given, it is not stabilized in a certain just above some value of initial angle of attack. It is going to diverge in the sense when we are taking the aerofoil with respect to the flow, it will be behaving as a aerofoil or aerodynamic shape of the structure as long as the flow angle is up to certain length, means certain degree. Suppose we can have some angle of attack, let's say 18 degree or 20 degree. Up to that, we can consider it is a linear aerodynamics. And if that goes beyond that, what will happen? It will this aerofoil will be acting like a blunt body. So there will be several other features will happen, flow separation, then downward flow will be different, upward flow will be different, flow will be separated from the top skin of the aerofoil, and then turbulence will be generated. A lot of other phenomena are there. I am calling means that instability condition from the static point of view, if I am considering static point of view, that I will define as a divergence. I will be coming to the calculation of divergence again. So if we look at here, the lift force, whatever we have developed from our aeroelastic point of view, we have Q into C into CL alpha. Q is the dynamic pressure, C is the chord length, multiplied by 1, that is the along span direction, that is the total pressure force. CL alpha is the slope of the lift curve, and that multiplied by alpha r, initial angle of attack, theta is the flexible angle of attack, alpha naught is angle of attack due to at zero angle, means equivalent angle of attack at zero angle of attack when we are considering a aerofoil which is not symmetric and also cambered. So here I'll be then we'll have one more thing, that is MA naught. MA naught is the aerodynamic moment due to zero angle of attack. That's what I am saying, moment at zero angle of attack, MA naught. So if I now add together the aerodynamic, this MA naught is nothing but you will have half into C rho into U infinity square, and C square multiplied by 1 multiplied by this C square. We are coming taking it because it is becoming a moment. So if you look at aerodynamic why this C square is considered here, and then Cm naught is the coefficient of aerodynamic moment at zero angle of attack, Cm naught. So this is actually, if you come back here, this with respect to this lift force, there will be a moment acting Ma naught. This Ma naught, if I add together with the means, if I am considering the eccentricity of this point, the aerodynamic center to elastic axis is nothing but E into C. That's what I have shown it here, E into C. Usually for subsonic aerodynamics, aerodynamic center is at quarter chord point, and eccentricity we are considering E into C. So due to this lift force, whatever moment will be there at elastic axis is lift multiplied by E into C. That is the distance between the elastic axis and the aerodynamic center, and Ma naught. And this Ma naught is the aerodynamic moment at aerodynamic center. So if I add now this, if we look at here, if I am adding these two things, so it will be Q E C square CL alpha, then we have taken it alpha r plus theta plus alpha naught, and then we will have Q that half rho U infinity square is nothing but Q, So Q into C square into Cm naught. So if I now combine these two expressions together, I can have now Q E C square Cl alpha alpha r plus theta plus alpha naught Cm naught divided by E Cl alpha. And this Cm naught by ECl alpha, I am defining by alpha naught alpha 0 prime. So inherently, I can consider that this alpha naught and these two I am combining together to convert into a equivalent equivalent angle of attack alpha naught prime. So it will become,
Sir,
yeah.
so this moment is about which point?
A moment is about aerodynamic center. See, initially MA, when I am calculating, this MA is about at aerodynamic center, and MA, aerodynamic moment, when I am calculating, that is about the elastic axis. This moment is about elastic axis. About elastic axis. Okay. If you go back, see here I am saying the MA naught will be developed at aerodynamic center, and the moment MA, whatever I am calculating, that is at elastic axis. So that I can take, because see, if you look at here, aerodynamic force is acting some other point, elastic axis is, or elastic force is acting some other point. So whatever in this inherently I am considering in this aerofoil configuration, I am transferring whole load to elastic axis, then I can equate basic idea of transferring aerodynamic aerodynamic moment to elastic axis, that whatever aerodynamic moment is developed, that has to be balanced by the restoring elastic moment. Okay, that spring what we have considered is the torsional spring k theta. K theta is the torsional spring multiplied by theta, that will be basically giving us the restoring elastic moment. Okay, is it clear now what I am saying?
Yes, sir.
About elastic axis, I am basically, first I have considered the lift force is developed at elastic aerodynamic center. The aerodynamic moment is I have transferred it to elastic axis because I am interested to see the equilibrium condition of this aeroelastic system, where external moment is nothing but aerodynamic moment, and internal resisting moment is the restoring moment, which can be calculated because theta is the elastic, whatever theta we have considered, that is the elastic angle of attack. So that angle of attack multiplied by k theta will give us the restoring elastic restoring moment. So now I am just simplifying this
Sir,
aerodynamic. Okay, yeah.
but how can we be sure that there will be no pseudo moment when we are taking moment about aerodynamic center?
See what I am saying, considering that our aerodynamic analysis is correct. See, I am not, see, in this case, what I am considering, inherently considering the aerodynamic information is given by the aerodynamic people or CFD people who is doing dedicated computational fluid dynamics problem. Okay, so from the aerodynamics group who has done detailed aerodynamic calculation, I am taking the aerodynamic force, pressure force, and the moment from that. Whatever you are asking, that whether pseudo force is there or not, that aerodynamics people has to take care of that. Okay, because that is also an involved
Okay, so
process.
that
No,
is inside the CM value.
CM naught.
Yes. Okay.
It is inherently there in the CM naught. Whatever you are saying, that pseudo moment, I see there are so many idealization we have done. If you come to the wing, near to the fuselage, there will be interference effect, because usually fuselage does not generate any lift, correct? And also, due to presence of the fuselage, there will be a disturbance in the flow. Again, you are going to the far away from the fuselage, somewhere in middle of the wing span, middle of the half wing span, whatever flow characteristics we may get, that is a uniform fluid means flow characteristics. Again, if you are going towards the means typically I am just considering this. Let's say you have a fuselage here, and you are calculating the aerodynamics load. So at this point, there will be an interference effect, whereas if you consider here, it will be something around uniform pressure distribution. But again, if you are coming to tip of the wing, there will be a problem, means flow disturbance, because the flow, whatever is going from the on top skin and bottom skin, the fluid particle moving in the top skin and bottom skin, there is a chance that it may mix together. That is the to means prevent that we put the winglet, all those effects. I am not going to consider all these detailed information. I am considering a small strip, which is which I am considering with a aerofoil section. Okay, and I am considering here the aerodynamic load is uniform over the entire span. I know it is not correct assumption, but for our initial start, I have to start from somewhere. Then only I can go and correct it in the later phase. Okay, because if you look at that, aerodynamics or any design is not a one step solution. It is always iterative solution, because so many different features are there which we are idealizing, which I cannot take in the initial stage of my calculation. That's why to start the design, I need to idealize, or I need to apply certain assumptions so that I can simplify the problem and calculate the information what I am looking for. And whatever I am calculating, I know it is not correct answer, but it may be deviating from the actual some 20% or maybe 30%. Correct? Shreyas,
Yes, sir.
are you able to understand what I am considering?
Yes, sir.
So that's where the our concept of what we call as the factor of safety. You have heard about factor of safety, no? In our structural design, we use some factor of safety, because
Yes,
I
sir.
need to consider that, because there are several uncertainties in my calculation. The structural behavior is uncertain, aerodynamic behavior is uncertain. Whatever I am idealizing, the interaction between aerodynamics and structures, that is also something uncertain informations are there. To take care of that, those aspects, I am taking factor of safety. But that does not mean that I will not do accurate analysis. As I am starting in the beginning phase, see, when I am, if you look at the aircraft design, is having several steps. First step is what we call as the airstaff requirement. First, I have to decide what I am, what means output I am looking from a aircraft, or what is the purpose of my aircraft. To define that, I need a airstrap requirement. What are the airstrap requirement? At what speed it can take off, and what are the maneuvers it has to do, and what are the other activities it has to carry. So that is our beginning of the aircraft. Once I have decided the airstrap requirement, you have heard about this, no? Airstrap requirement.
The number of crew required.
No,
Is it?
not stop. Not, it is not that. It is in general called as air staff requirement. That is basically the purpose of the aircraft. It means whether it is a transport aircraft or fighter aircraft, or it is a pilot, means trainer aircraft or UAV kind of thing, that we define by the requirement, that we call as the air staff requirement. Okay, that is the beginning point of our design. Once I decide that I need certain activities to be performed by a aircraft, these are the activities that I am calling as the air staff requirement. Okay, and with that I will start my aircraft design. So initially what I have to do, I have to start with a aerofoil section. Means roughly I will get what will be the payload and other for other means job the aircraft has to do, how much load can come. So with that load, I'll be back calculating what is the aerofoil required, what type of aerofoil I need, and then what is the span length I need. Okay, that is the preliminary design. What we call as the first is the airstaff requirement. Once I decided that this is my requirement, then I'll be asking a designer to design an aircraft. That designer will be asking certain issues. If this aircraft is going to carry some passenger, then passenger weight has to be considered. Passenger weight, again, it may vary because some person may have 50 kg weight, some person may have 80 kg weight, some person may have 120 kg weight. Okay, all these statistically, it is not possible to take design a aircraft for person, no. So we'll be designing something which will be general. So in that case, if passenger is carried, then I have to take some weight of that passenger. There are, if you look at the aircraft design book, there are some passenger average weight is given. So like that, see, once we decide how much load will be coming to the aircraft, you will be deciding what will be the aerofoil and what will be the span length. So in the beginning, whatever I am saying, with that aerofoil, whatever lift force I have calculated, due to this interference effect or elasticity effect, that will be modified. See, initially we call as the preliminary design, then actually first is the conceptual design, then we go preliminary design, then is the detailed design. So in the detailed design, we may have to do detailed analysis also, because in the conceptual design, there at that point of time, I don't have the full idea of the full aircraft geometry. So as I am progressing from conceptual design to preliminary design, I may, after preliminary design, I may get a overall geometrical configuration of the aircraft. It may be wing configuration, fuselage configuration, what type of engine I will be using, all these, or whether there will be some external stores in the aircraft. All these configuration information, once I am it is available, then I can go to the detailed design. So whatever I am talking of in the initial stage, when there is the detailed structural information is not available, I have to idealize certain thing. Based on the idealized concept, I'll be designing the aircraft. So in the beginning phase, we may consider aeroelasticity, we may not consider aeroelasticity. But these are the part of the design. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'm coming to this. So if whatever I have defined, if you look at, I have defined here zero moment line. This is zero moment line, zero lift line, and then we'll have an angle of attack. So basically we have alpha naught, zero lift line means angle of attack at zero lift. Basically, if we are orienting the aerofoil in this line, then there will not be lift force generated. As I have this reference is the horizontal, That's why I have to consider these are basically negative angle of attack. But in our calculation, we are not taking because it is added. If you look at here, it is basically added here. This alpha r plus theta and alpha naught prime, it has been added, means total angle of attack. Or we can say that reference is put into this. And then this will be the total angle of attack. And this is the line with the lift force and moment, actual lift force and moment is the what I'll call as the actual lift force and the moment. With respect to this angle of attack, whatever actual lift force and moments is acting on the aircraft, that we are considering in our aeroelastic information. So, if you look at here, I have calculated the aerodynamic moment, and if I now come to the spring force, so spring force, spring will have a stiffness. Here I am considering, though it is a structure which is having a distributed elastic system, but I am considering a equivalent spring to consider only one mode, torsional mode. See, in this, if you look at what I am considering, this wing may have bending mode, it may have bending mode, when it is deforming, it can have twisting mode, and in our aeroelasticity calculation, actually bending is not that important. Our twisting mode is more important in our static aeroelastic calculation. That's why if you look at here, I have considered here the spring stiffness is k theta, that is torsional spring stiffness, equivalent torsional spring stiffness multiplied by theta, because this force will be coming into picture when it is having a elastic deformation. As long as only rigid angle of attack is there, this force is not coming into picture. So when there is a elastic deformation, due to that elastic deformation, whatever elastic restoring force is acting, that is k theta into theta. So finally, when we are considering that the aircraft is in equilibrium, so this external moment, whatever moment is developed due to external aerodynamic load, that this is the external aerodynamic moment and this is the internal resisting elastic moment. So this has to be balanced. Then only we will consider that the aeroelastic system is in equilibrium. Is it okay? Is it clear why I am taking only k theta into theta? Because actual angle of attack is different. If you look at here, actual angle of attack alpha r prime plus theta. But when I am calculating, that is I am considering for aerodynamic moment calculation. But when I am coming to restoring spring moment, I am considering k theta into theta. K theta is the stiffness of the torsional spring, theta is the elastic deformation. Is it okay?
So the elastic deformation did not be same along the span, right?
No, it will not be the same. But that's why I am saying I have considered, this is the concept of modal concept. So that's why I am saying that I have considered here, if you look at here, I have considered this mode, twisting mode, one mode whose stiffness can be calculated with a modal information, modal stiffness, which is nothing but k theta. I am going into the modal concept. See, in the structural dynamics, you have studied physical model and modal model. I am just because this aeroelasticity concept is based on the modal concept. So, though it is having a distributed stiffness, but when I am considering mode 1 or twisting mode, that twisting mode will have a equivalent torsional stiffness. I am considering and torsional stiffness is k theta. Is it okay?
Sir, but how do we decide?
Explain this modal model.
Sir, how do we decide that?
Okay.
Can you explain modal model, sir?
See, then I have to go to structural dynamics a little bit. Let me see whether I have here any. Let me come to that.
Sir, I want to know that which theta should we consider? I mean, theta for which span-wise location?
Theta?
Like theta will be different for different points along the span of the airfoil. So,
Yeah, that is true.
which
Yeah.
theta should we consider?
Actually, let me explain this modal concept. Okay. Then you will get the idea about what I am considering. Let's say when I am considering a stiffness, sorry. Oh, sorry. I have to go to full presentation mode only. See, I am taking a system, a dynamic system, where it is, let's say, mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx. Okay, this is right hand side is force f of t. Suppose I consider that this multi-degree of freedom system is having n number of frequencies and mode shapes. So this x I will be defining by a concept that is called phi modal vector multiplied by q, modal coordinate. Okay. So if I take that way, then I can write here also x dot is nothing but phi into x dot, also it will be phi multiplied by q dot. See here phi is modal vector. You have done structural dynamics, you have gone through the structural dynamics or not? Hello?
Contact,
Because
no, I didn't.
okay. This actually this structural dynamics concept is required. In that case, I need to cover that once. Okay. Then in that case, what I will do in the next day, first I will discuss about the modal concept, because that you need little bit understanding of the modal concept, and then whatever I am k theta I am calculating, considering this k theta is basically I have considered as a lumped modal stiffness k theta. Okay. So similarly, if I take x double dot also, it will be phi into you have class after this, no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I'll continue next day. First I will discuss about the modal concept, then I will come to the aeroelasticity. Okay.
Sir, and can you please upload these notes in the MS Teams?
Actually, I was trying, I could not convert into PDF because file size is very big. That's why I'll be uploading today itself.
Okay, sir.
Let me just see. All of you are present now, or some of you have, because there is an option, I can take the attendance directly. Sorry. Hopefully all of you are present now. Okay. I see here 23 plus, so it is around 28 people are there. There is an option to download attendance. I am just downloaded this. Next day I will just tell you again that what I have taken the attendance because it is better you can go to leave means we can close the session now. Next day I will start with the modal concept first, then I will come to aeroelasticity. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So, okay. You can leave now because you may have some other class.
Thank you, sir.
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 Okay. Bye.
Hello, sir.
Tell me.
Sir, I have a query. This is not related to this subject. I have a problem in my ERP
Okay.
account. Who is the
In
ERP
charge.
representative?
Professor Saha. Professor Sandeep Saha is our ERP representative.
Okay, sir.
You can send a mail to him so that giving your means problem, then probably he can look into it. Okay.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay.
Or
Thank
you
you.
can ask your faculty advisor also. You can ask the
Yeah.
faculty.
Actually, he's not replying to me. I don't know why.
You can just ask Professor Saha. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.